Hello, everyone. Hopefully, you're all having a good day today. I imagine this is the evening for most folks that are going to be joining us here. This is our 19th live stream so far. We're probably going to have to do something special for our 20th live stream. Today, we're going to be doing all of our flying in the Arabic country of Jordan. When I was originally sitting down and said, hey, we got to do something a little different today, I said, what might be kind of fun is checking out some of those really, really neat deserts that we never really get to see. I'm always flying over trees and ocean, I feel like. So I said, you know what? I know exactly where to go. So today we're going to be reaching the Wadi Rum as well as flying up to Petra because, we can't just go to Jordan and not visit Petra. I mean, come on, that's part of the fun. So let's go ahead and get things started now and get everything underway. For those of you interested in joining us tonight, we are on the East USA server. You can just tap escape and you got your option right here. And when you do multiplayer settings, you want to make sure you set it to all players, not just some one specific group of players. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started. Again, we're taking this aircraft off. We could have taken a much faster plane for this particular flight, but this is such a neat part of the world that I really, really wanted to take my time with it and, kind of check out a slightly different airplane that's going to be able to get us slow if we need it to go, but without getting too excessively anything. So let's go ahead and get everything all kind of warmed up here. I'm going to go ahead and everything set up. Got my flight plan preloaded inside of here. Everything's pretty much ready to go. It's midnight. Great. Oh no, there's some people who are early in the morning. High clouds is the weather, yes. I'm at 5:55 in the morning, by the way, and I'm looking around. It seems everybody's on that side of the airport, but that's perfectly fine as well. So let's go ahead and get everything going here. I'm going to flip on some of my lights, let everybody know where I am. I'll go ahead and adjust everything as we get going, but one of the reasons I wanted to pick this time of day is because one of the most incredible things you can see in this particular mountain range is when the sky is purple and you get this weird little black-brown effect. Unfortunately, Flight Sim does a decent job of this, but it doesn't quite recreate just quite how lavender the sky will get right over these mountains. It's really, really impressive. All right, let's go ahead and get going. I always like to go ahead and depart on time kind of a thing here. Fortunately for us, I picked a spot that's right next to the runway, so it's only like 25 feet. We got to get going to actually get all lined up here. So I'm going to go sitting up here. Again, like I said, I took the Bonanza out today. The Bonanza seemed to be the logical choice. Unfortunately, we have to overclimb a mountain, outclimb a mountain. Sorry, it's been a kind of a crazy long week, as you could probably imagine. So I'm going to go ahead and swing myself around, get myself all nice lined up. You are allowed to take off on a displaced threshold. You're not allowed to land on one. I always thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Whoop, excuse me, sir. Didn't mean to cut you off there. No, it looks like some gentleman named Get Off My Lawn's got something a little more high performance than what we got packing here, but that's all right. And it also looks like somebody decided to bring a truck with them today. It's going to be interesting. Michael Harris, I got to ask, what part of the world are you from? Is it like an Australia, New Zealand kind of a thing? Because it's definitely going to be relatively late there. All right, I'm taking a look at my clock real fast. I said it's going to be about 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything's ready. I got a few moments before departure here. Go ahead and I'll put that one notch of flaps down. I always like to make sure that's set correctly. It's always a good idea, of course, to go ahead and cycle your prop and make sure everything's working pretty well here. All right, that's looking pretty good. That's looking pretty good. I am ready to rock. Just going to kind of hang on just a minute for all kind of the latecomers. We're going to have a few folks, of course, who are going to come up. Hello, Simon. Welcome back. I'm just trying to see who I can kind of remember here. I feel like I recognize the Dolbecks. I'm not sure about heads to shed. That's funny. Head to the shed. Oh, I see what you did there. And let's see what we have here. Get Off My Lawn. That's kind of interesting as well. All right, let's just kind of give it a few moments before we go ahead and get rolling here. Sydney, Australia. Thanks, Mike. I was curious about that. I have never visited Sydney. I've been to Melbourne, and I've also been, like Tasmania and stuff like that. But I never could quite make it up that far, which is kind of a shame, but it's all right. Beautiful country, the most relaxed people in existence. Like, I kid you not. All right, it's looking about my clock says about 7. I'm actually going to go ahead and set myself a quick timer here. One of the reasons I'm setting myself a timer is because I know I'm going to have to switch fuel tanks in about a half of an hour, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So if you hear some weird dinging and donking in a little while, it probably means it's time to go ahead and change my engines there, my fuel tanks there. 0, press the start button, and we are all solid. All right, let's roll. This aircraft is great. We just go ahead and give it full throttle. This thing starts accelerating. It's going to pull to the left really, really, really badly, like it probably would in the real plane as well. I've never had experience in one of these, but I have had a little bit of real-world experience in a Baron, and I can say that aircraft actually pushes you up against the seat a little bit. It's kind of a nice sensation. All right, about 66 knots. I'm going to give it a gentle touch, and we are going to get ourselves airborne. Usually with general aviation aircraft, you don't want to be just slapping up the landing gear right away. That's considered bad form, because usually when something goes wrong, it happens pretty much right away, and we can't get them down fast enough. So I'm actually going to do it properly this time. I had to get corrected on that. A good evening dress. Oh, we have a Schwabapocalypse. Schwabapocalypse? I think I got it. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and slap up those landing gear. And we're going to go ahead and take our right turn and start heading towards the east. Now, the safe thing to do would be to take the highway. Now, I know you're probably sitting there going, we're airplanes. We don't need to take the highway. The advantage of the highway is it's going to get us in a slightly nicer spot as far as being able to make that crossing, rather than trying to outclimb those big nasty mountains in the distance. Unfortunately for us, though, I like to actually try to outclimb them anyway, because we certainly have more than enough horsepower to do it. Go ahead and slap on the automatic pilot for a second. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my RPM here. About 2,500 is considered safe. You can technically climb at this aircraft at full RPM. Nothing bad will happen to it. It's just generally good practice. I'm also going to go ahead and make sure my cowl flaps are open about halfway or so. This is a pretty hot region of the world, although it is pretty early in the morning. So I'm not too concerned with overheating, at least at this time. Go ahead and pop up the flaps too. We don't need those anymore. And let's go ahead and see who's kind of joining us out the back here. Taking a quick peek, looks like we have a really good collection. Again, this is kind of late at night here, so for a lot of folks, good to see Simon again, like I said. Smoking Tire, I feel like I've seen before. Just taking a look, of course, people change their names on me too, so if I do not recognize your name, it's just my absolutely horrible memory. That's one of the problems with being a teacher, is you have to memorize constant batches of 120 people's names, and then you got to learn all the parents' names, and then it's the siblings, and then you confuse the parents for the siblings. You know how it goes. It's just kind of a fun experience, that's all. All right, up we go. So our destination today, like I said, was the Wadi Rum. Wadi Rum, rather. I actually have somebody who spoke Arabic tell me how to pronounce that one properly, but at least I got it right this time. The reason I chose it also is because whenever you need a desert in a movie, it is going to be the desert you are going to use for your movie. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that sarcastically. I mean, you got movies ranging from Lawrence of Arabia, Red Planet, Passion of the Desert, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Frankenstein's Trial, Prometheus, Chris 3, May the Summer, Last Days of Mars, The Martian, Thief, Rogue One, Aladdin. We had Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker, and even the new Dune film. Every single one of those films is going to be filmed, or was filmed, in the region we're going to be flying through today. Now, a minute ago, I said we were supposed to follow the highway here, and this is the highway I was actually referring to. This would be the safest passage through this mountain range. The nice thing is, once we do get a little bit up and above this, I will change the time of day so you can go ahead and see the desert, especially the red of the desert. Once you see that, you'll immediately recognize it in pretty much any movie you've ever seen Mars in before. So I think you guys will get a real kick out of that. But like I said, I just wanted you to see absolutely how gorgeous this country is, because you get this kind of weird little purple, like I was just saying. One of my best friends actually lived down here for about 2 or 3 years, and I thought that was kind of wild. He lived on the Israel side of things, though, not the Jordan side of things, but that's perfectly all right too. All right, just got to continue our little gentle climb here. We can start leveling off once my little horizon line tells me that I'm above these really, really steep peaks. Again, those of you looking for a slightly easier experience, you can pass right through there, but just look at how rugged those mountains are. That is absolutely amazing. Just got to come swinging here. Oh, yeah. Yep, this definitely would have been the safer route. Of course, look at how nasty this is. If there was any sort of wind down here, I'm sure you would know it pretty much right away. All right, got to go ahead and level ourselves off. This is more than high enough right now. Boop. And ends up to about 4,500 feet. Nice. And there is our desert. So traveling there from Fort. Oh, greetings from Jordan. That's amazing. Now, you're probably going to be making fun of my pronunciation, but that's kind of a known meme on all these particular things. I always do an absolute garbage job. Hi, Smeg. I'm Gumpy right above you. That's awesome. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. All right, so now that we're at good altitude, our cruise settings are good. I'm going to go ahead and set the mixture the way that I need to. That wasn't the mixture. That's the mixture control. There we go. And now I'm going to cheat a little tiny bit. Although I love the colors that we're getting right here, I am going to adjust the time of day to be an hour later so that we can actually see the color of the desert the way it was meant to be seen. And now once you start to see the red of some of the different rock formations and things like that, your brain is immediately going to tell you we got to Mars. And I just think that's absolutely amazing. This is truly a beautiful place. And the more I fly around here, the more I'm like, you know what? This might be a fun, different trip. Because right now, my wife and I are coming up on our 10th wedding anniversary, and we're debating where we want to go. I want to do New Zealand, but of course, because the seasons are swapped, I should say essentially the seasons are swapped. The time of year and temperatures are swapped. It's not easy to get down there during the summer, which makes things a little bit tricky for us. Because obviously, if we wanted to go skiing, we could go to New Zealand during the summer, but you know exactly how it works. So this is one of the possibilities. I'm thinking about Thailand. I'm thinking about Japan. A couple different possibilities. All right, let's get going. So I love this highway here. It just goes whoop, right basically to the rest of Jordan. Once you cross this line, as you're going to see in just a minute, you basically leave so much behind. You're basically going back in time. You've got this ultra-modern city. You've got this little mountain range where everything starts to become like just the desert road. And then you just cross over this range, and suddenly you're instantly transported. Just look at this. Almost like I said, it's like another world. You've got the beautiful kind of the nice glaciated areas where you have it's nice and smooth. You've got a little bit of those jagged rocks too, where the wind has just kind of ate things. But the color scheme for a desert here is just breathtaking. And again, I'm just kind of cruising around. Normally I don't fly in third person like this, but I just think it's worthwhile to see just how incredible this is. Again, the Wadi is basically going to be a dried up riverbed. But now, one of the things I was saying a little earlier, let me actually look at the window, is I mentioned this plan, I was about to say it, this place was used for shooting Martian landscapes many times. And if you actually look right off my nose, you can have this actual kind of experience when you travel down to Australia as well, especially on the western side of the outback. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, think of Mad Max, by the way, Fury Road, for those of you who are literally determined to kind of have a little fun with this. But you can see right in here how everything is just this strange, well, not strange, I should say. It's a very natural, but just like this red. And it's just, wow. There's nothing quite like this that I've ever seen probably in person as that I can think of. This is only something I've ever been able to find in Google Earth. But you can see, like I said, we got civilization. I should never be. That's actually very offensive of me to say it that way. You can see that we have tons and tons of densely populated folks. You cross a line and suddenly it's like, hey, we made it to Arrakis, Dune, desert planet. It's absolutely amazing. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to cruise along the Wadi a little bit here. And now we're basically going to compassing around. We're going to take a look at the 7 pillars on our way, and then we're going to kind of spiral upwards. And there's this really neat little, like basically like a tourist camp that exists kind of in the middle of everything. And it just feels so weird. That's just kind of there. But look at this. It's literally Mars, and I just think that's absolutely incredible. You know, if you ever need that kind of backdrop to simulate, you know, some of those, other planets, or, I'm in the deep desert or something like that, this is where people go. I'm not going to lie, I really have a temptation here to get myself a nice trailer truck and just start ripping across this at high speed, kicking up the red smoke behind me. This is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Here I am in a red airplane, and I barely look red compared to the ground. That never happens. All right, I'm going to go start cruising along here. I'm making pretty good time here, which is kind of what I expected. The Bonanza is an excellent airplane for stuff like this. It's going to be a little slow for the long part of our flight, but I'm not too concerned. I'm actually going to go ahead and synchronize my heading. I'm a little off course here. Just kind of going off based on this little mountain range here. We're basically going to shoot this way and take an aggressive left turn. We'll go take a look at this very neat little rock formation that you're going to see over here. Pass a couple of spots where the Bedouins are, and just, again, make our way back to the foundations of civilization. It's absolutely amazing. But again, like I said, this is just so cool. I had to do something different, Kind of reminds me of Australia. I'll give you that. Apparently, I've left everybody in the dust, which is pretty typical, but I'll have to circle when I get there anyway. How come I sometimes can't engage automatic pilot? It flashes on the IP. That's a great question, Ryan. Typically, if it's going to do something like that, that means there's something overriding it. So when it usually flashes red, that means there's some sort of input. One thing I'd watch out for is to take a look at your sensitivity, like on your joysticks. See that when you don't touch your joystick, that the controls are perfectly smooth. Like if you look at your joystick curves and you can see it kind of jittering back and forth rapidly, that's usually indication that is basically hijacking your automatic pilot. Now, like for me, with my joysticks, you can't see this because I disabled my brake pedals here, is you'd see these 2 pedals dancing up and down, which would interfere with my braking capability because I have so much noise in those channels. I actually have a handbrake now that I use for my brakes because of this. But if your pitch or your roll left or right on your joystick is very noisy and has a huge range that constantly jitters between it, you're always going to have that issue. So I'll kind of keep an eye out for that. And again, what you can always do too is you can take your joystick too, and you can set up a huge dead zone and then try it again and see if it engages. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go swing along this deep dark valley here. Again, I got to watch out for sandworms. So if anybody sees any worm sign, I need you folks to kind of give me a heads up on that one. I'm just going to swing us along this way. And we're going to go visit the visitor center. But again, like I was saying, once you hide these little trees here, you've got just unbelievable things here. It's like, kind of reminds me of Tremors, where you have kind of like the rocky bits, and then you have where the graboids would be hanging out as well. But again, they did not shoot that here, as far as I know. We're going to take ourselves a nice aggressive turn here. We're going to cross our first little waypoint. Again, I'm taking advantage of the automatic pilot and the real plane. The controls on this aircraft are apparently, from what I've talked to real pilots for this particular airplane, a little on the heavy side, so it is often easier just to use the automatic pilot to do kind of basic stuff, just because it's going to be a lot less wear and tear on the pilot, so to speak. This is incredible. man, would you just kill to have a little, 4x4 and just kind of go rip along these sand dunes here and seeing this little stuff kind of off in the distance like that. It's just amazing. All right, we're going to go ahead and kind of work our way down this valley here. This is one of the first valleys I think I've ever flown down where I actually feel like I have room to turn around if I needed to. Typically when we do these streams, we always run into situations where the valley's like this. But this is, like I said, not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and scoot along this one too. Oh, by the way, I was going to say too, Ryan, if you run into a situation where your avionics are not turned on, you may not be able to activate your autopilot as well. Depending on the aircraft, especially the TBM, you actually have to turn on the autopilot channel in order to actually get it to work. All right, now here's the site for you. Check this out. You got your little tiny oasis, and you have everybody with a little tent just kind of hanging out there. But again, find me the road that is accessible here. I could probably land a plane down there, but from what I can see, just looking real quickly, amazing. All right, when do you guys see Petra? Okay, we're going to go ahead and scoot our way up here real quickly. I'm going to bring it to the right a little tiny bit. Very, very famous landmark coming up on our left here. You'll probably recognize it again from movies. Again, Lawrence of Arabia. At any point, I'm expecting to see a bunch of camels running down any moment, but not today, not today. They shot that movie back in the 60s, so I think they'll be done by now. Okay, so now you're going to see something a little weird. So as we're cruising along here, people like to visit here. They like to do some camping. They like to do some mountain climbing. Is extremely popular from what I said. There is a little village basically in the dead center of the entire Wadi here, which is just kind of chilling. This is kind of where you would go. It's like, ooh, we're going to go visit the Wadi. So you'd come all the way out here. You'd get yourself your little hotel and your guide and everything, and you'd kind of make your way through everything from this little place in the middle of this incredible desert located in this gigantic valley here. It kind of reminds me of almost you get to little tourist towns sometimes like that, but this is actually a more than just a little tourist environment. This actually has, some of the local tribes that does a lot of their business through here, at least from what I can read. Again, I don't live there. I'm only going what little research I was able to do in the time that I had. But again, just taking a look at this, basically imagine waking up and seeing that nice purple sun and then just whoop, out the corner of your eye seeing something like this. It's just incredible. Yeah, you can see a couple little buildings down here. That's just amazing. That is just amazing. All right, we're going to go ahead and hang a left in a moment here. We're going to make our way up towards the northwest corner of the Wadi now. And just kind of cruising along, taking in everything. I don't want to take that left turn too early because I do want to go ahead and give myself a little tiny bit of room here. But what you're actually going to see now is this little tiny road. This is the road you would take to basically get to this region. Everything you saw earlier, basically you have to get in there by air or, traditional modes of transport as well. So it's just kind of wild. All right, looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take a hand to the left here. It's going to be about 330 degrees, my apologies. And we're just going to kind of enjoy my gentle little turn here. Again, it's just so red. Love that. Oh, getting passed by Get Off My Lawn here. It's all right. Take a look behind us. We have Captain Carnival, some smoking tires. Looks like we have Simon. Good to see you again. I think I said it 3 times already. I don't know why. I'm just lazy. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to kind of scoot along this little road here that's going to kind of take us a little bit to the west here. We're going to kind of gently go off the top. I'm getting bounced around a little bit from the ridges here. Again, you can imagine trying to hike in here. This would just be incredible. Now we're going to be aiming for a little mountain range, and then we're going to be swinging up to the really, really deep desert. And when I say deep desert, I mean deep deserts. Hopefully we can spot a couple different encampments kind of along the way, maybe some ancient oasis or something like that. But when I say deep desert, I mean yikes, deep desert. Again, you can imagine many years ago, all the water that came through here and kind of left these little dry riverbeds. Again, that's the whole point of the Wadi. All right, make my way there, and you get a really, really good look over at this certain direction. Again, you've got your dune over here, you got your red planet over here. It's just absolutely wild. And the interesting thing is where we're going to be traveling to in a moment is basically where they shot Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. That's going to be up at Petra. Like I said, we probably could have cut everything short today, but I said, if we're going to visit Jordan, we got to take the time to actually go up there. So we'll actually get some altitude and be able to kind of cruise along that. But for now, I'm just going to kind of enjoy the sights because this is just, like I said, it's wild. All right, let's see how everybody behind me is doing. What a nice plane. Whoop. All right, we got a pretty good selection of folks. I'm going a little fast here, so I can always slow down a little tiny bit. Whoa, why are my landing gear down? I must have accidentally pressed that instead of the mixture control button. I was wondering why the plane was buffeting so bad, and then I realized my landing gear were down. It's okay, though, because the people behind me wanted to catch up anyway, so this is a good time to do so. All right, nice. Okay, so on the right-hand side, if I remember right, should be a little. Yep, this is one of the major towns. If you're doing any film work here, and this is basically where you kind of set up camp, and then you could use whatever vehicles you need to actually kind of head back out into these regions to go ahead and do any of the shooting that you need to do. And again, the far side, you can imagine little convoys of trucks just kind of whipping their way across these dunes, heading to those particular positions. It's just neat. That's all. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and swing up towards the north here, and we're going to be heading into a very, 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 very large region, which is basically going to be quite dry, and it's also going to be relatively high altitude too. So I'm just going to kind of straighten out just a little bit. For those of you who remember that highway that we saw up in the beginning, this is the north end of that highway right here. So if you did get terribly lost, like I always joked a minute ago, you can always take the highway to kind of get ourselves back. I would imagine, of course, a highway like this would be pretty well traveled because it is the only way you're going to get around unless you want to go in the sand itself. All right, we're going to go ahead and swing to the north in just a moment. It's going to be about, I think it's about 6 degrees on the magnetics, if I recall correctly. I still haven't spotted worm signs, so I'm not too nervous. Right up here, this is Al-Khawara. Again, I'm pronounced that terribly, but that's just a meme now. And you can see, again, pretty good side of things. You've got a lot of folks live on this side of the mountains. A good number of folks live on this side of the mountains as well. And what you see here is what they call a border. You can very, very clearly see the border between the two regions. These are known. These are natural forming. They're certainly not made by any mapping glitches, so don't worry about that at all. But you can see clearly the difference in satellite resolution. But that's okay. All right, so now we're going to be crossing this huge desert. It's a relatively short flight here. It's not going to be nearly as bad as it looks. And basically what we're trying to do is find something called the Canyon of the Crescent Moon. So to help us out a little bit, I'm actually going to gain a little bit of altitude. So it's good autopilot review here. I'm going to go ahead and select an altitude that's a little higher. I'm going to go up to about 7,500. We'll do 7,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and over here, I'm going to flip on my vertical speed control, and I'm going to go ahead and use a vertical speed of about 500 feet per minute. I'm also going to push my throttle all the way forward, which it is. And we'll go ahead and get a little bit of altitude here. The whole goal here is just to get to a slightly higher altitude where the air is a little bit thinner so we can get ourselves just a teeny tiny bit more speed as we cruise here. And again, you can see some efforts to do some irrigation out here. We've provided with wonderful places for food, which is awesome. Look at this. I wonder what this is all about. Some old formation of things. Let's see how everybody behind us is doing. Of course, they're taking everything in, I'm sure. We could do this at stupidly low altitudes as well, but like I said, I want to get a little bit of altitude to cross the desert because our destination is basically right on the other side of where this very, very large kind of cliff is. When you see this cliff, you'll have an urge to go, hey, didn't I see that? And no, I think it was The Force Awakens. You're going to recognize something and be like, oh, yeah. You'll see what I mean when I get there. Swing my little bit to the left. I'm a little tiny bit off course here. My nose up a tiny bit. Again, it's like, look at the color of the sand. It's just amazing. One of these days we'll have to do something in the outback, but I have a feeling we're going to need a slightly faster turboprop for that. One of the major towns right off my left wing there. And again, right on the other side of this, over here where this is where we started a little while ago. Like I said, I didn't want to see the true old Wadi here. And everything gets a lot quieter because we're about to cross this massive, massive, massive desert. Fortunately for us, we have a relatively high-performance airplane, so it's not exactly going to be hard crossing. There we go. And again, you're welcome to fly at a lower altitude if you choose to do so. I'm just going a little higher here so I can pick up as much speed as I can so I can get through it as fast as possible. Now, this major highway right here that we're watching becomes this little double-lane highway, kind of scooting in that general direction. If you keep going over the top of this mountain range, you're going to hit the city of Man, M-A-N. It's the best I can do as far as pronunciation goes. That's another one of those major cities. It's basically wherever there was a nice oasis, you got a bunch of people kind of living. I just thought that was great. All right, time to punch across the desert here. Again, keep an eye out for any worm sign as all times. Keep in mind for the harvesters, they're going to be getting all the good spice out this way. And naturally, if you see any imperial formations, you're probably in the right spot as well. I just love that. All right, I seem to have lost everybody, but that's all right. That's just my own competence. Going way, way, way too fast, but that's okay. All right, I'm getting up to about 5,600 feet. I'm getting a ground speed. Let's take a look here. We're getting about 164 knots, which is actually pretty good because, no, just kidding. That's not intentional at all. All right, if you look this far, you can actually see all the way into Israel. It's kind of difficult from this angle, but way, 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 way over here. I would imagine, oh, is that somebody's house? What a nice spot. Again, you can see all the way into Israel, kind of looking out over this way. And of course, when I also think about Jordan, I also think about the Dead Sea, which is fascinating to say the least. Okay, so now we got to punch our way over this really, really large mountain range here. Now, when we get down the other side of it, we're going to be very, very close to a place called Petra. Now, Petra, for those of you guys who are familiar with the Jordanian kind of UNESCO heritage sites, basically it was a site of a very, 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 very old civilization. You're talking civilization going back nearly, I think it's 20,000 years. So what you're going to see, and well, the flight simulator rendition of, I should say, is basically ancient history. It's kind of a neat concept if you think about it. All right, who's been taking their four-wheeler out? And we can see we got a little tiny village on the top of things. And we should be passing one of the major railroad tracks also. I don't know that we're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to keep an eye out. At least that's what my chart says. And again, there's one of those nice natural borders in case you couldn't identify the differences between the two different counties. I don't know what the Arab word for county is, because when you go up to Russia, you've got regions which become oblasts. So I'm not 100% sure. Oh, there it is. Haha, there's the railroad. Nice. I'm not lost. Good. Okay, so keep an eye out for the Canyon of the Crescent Moon. Apparently that is where the Ark of the Covenant, I'm sorry, the Holy Grail is stored. I should be a little more specific. This is so wild that you can just kind of like peek over the mountain range to a completely other country. I always love that. All right, looks like we've done a pretty good job as far as out climbing these mountains here. Notice how it just progressively starts going uphill here, and then again you have little teeny tiny little houses every once in a while. And again, this is where your Bedouin tribes would basically be kind of hanging out and sort of just living off the desert, which I just think is amazing. All right, going up pretty good here. And just in this little region, you're going to see this little valley over here. This is going to be our ultimate little destination. And let's see. Just judging by time here, probably about 6 or 7 minutes out, which shouldn't be too bad. Again, I'm going to be topping out at 7,000 feet in a second. I'm going to go reset my mixture as well. Certainly getting high enough now. And I'm looking at my stopwatch here. It's about to yell at me and tell me to switch fuel tanks, which doesn't surprise me. Of course, if you want to, you can stay on the same fuel tank the whole time. But of course, when you do that, as you can see on mine, I've already chewed through 22% of my fuel on my left side. My plane is going to progressively get heavy on the right. The method that they use, I've mentioned before, is you basically go by what time of day it is. If it's between 0 and 30 minutes, use the right tank. Between 30 minutes and an hour, use the left tank. I just set a timer, and like I said, if you hear a weird dinging all of a sudden, that's what that is. Look how short the wings are on this thing. This is great. All right, I see everybody's doing, well, get off my lawn. You're doing a delightful job flying in formation there. Captain Carnival, you might want to make your way up a little bit higher because this is going to be a little bit of a climb for us. But like I said, we just need to find Ray on a little tiny sled scooting down the side of this. I think that would be very appropriate to see at this particular point. Put this little piece of yellow tape on my side. Killing me. All right, let's go ahead and take a look behind us. Whoa, you're getting a little close there, sir. Take a look at my window. Simon, you're doing great. Laughful Frog, welcome back. That is somebody I do remember. Not Laughful Frog, Laughful Rog, my bad. Republic of Gamer? I'm not sure. See what else we have behind us. I'm just taking a quick peek here. The Dreamed Claw, Gumpy. Everybody's got their Baron. Sorry, not Baron. Sorry, it's a Bonanza 36. Now, one of the cool Bonanzas is the V-tail Bonanzas, but they were called Doctor Killers because of how deadly they were in the hands of somebody who didn't know how to handle yaw coupling. But that's perfectly fine, too. Okay, now this is going to be the hard part. So what we're looking for is something called the Canyon of the Crescent Moon in Indiana Jones. For us, it's just a much little less scientific than that. It's basically the site of a very, very ancient city that we're going to be checking out in just a few minutes. There's actually a lot of different things in that particular city. We'll kind of buzz it and do a little donut around it and everything like that. But the cool thing with the city itself is basically you have a super duper tight canyon entrance, and then you have a much wider entrance, which is going to be in the valley itself. The main city is in the valley, in the actual little place that everybody thinks of, basically the bank. That's going to be located in that tight valley. I don't know that we can see the bank from the air here. That's just amazing. Oh, another little spot. Again, imagine just living here in the desert. It's just like you wake up every day and there's no sound whatsoever except maybe a passing airplane every once in a while. But that's literally all you would have being in a tight little canyon like this. And since you have a little bit of protection from these mountains right here, just peace and quiet is the best way to describe it. All right. So what's going to happen is we're going to come swinging down this valley here. I'll go ahead and I'll kill the autopilot when we get a little bit closer here because we are going to need to be able to do a little bit of fancy flying to be able to arc that. Don't try to outclimb the mountain on the other side. For those of you who want to dive down the valley and come flying up the other one, feel free. Just make sure you have as much momentum as possible coming out of there because it's a little bit steeper than it looks. This is so cool. Imagine living in this house and just this is your view in the morning. It's just amazing. All right, let's keep on cruising here. I'm going to go check behind me real fast, see how everybody's doing. Looks pretty good. I really shouldn't be flying with automatic pilot all the time, but this is actually fairly realistic to do with this plane, like I was mentioning a little while ago. What do we got now? We got 177 knots. So we actually got 12 more knots at this altitude than we did at the lower altitude, which I'm not complaining. Not complaining. Yeah, I'm taking advantage of my binoculars. In a real plane, I just wear a pair of little mini binoculars around my neck when I fly. But again, it's been years since I've actually flown a real plane, so who knows what I actually do these days. Again, you got yourself your little town here. I don't know how on earth they handle medical emergencies. I mean, like the nearest city is over there. It's just an amazing concept once again. Fortunately for us, it's not like 100 miles away. It's only, 70. Okay, now we're finding what we're trying to find here, the Lightfall. So we go from the Wadi Rum, right behind us, and we're kind of making our way up towards, this is almost when I think about like the cradle of some of the early civilizations here. So we suddenly pass over, everything gets a lot more fertile all of a sudden. Again, you're protected, you can take advantage of the better water, you can do the better, obviously we've got quite a few trees here, better agriculture. Unfortunately, the place is a little on the rough side as far as terrain goes, but that's okay. So again, we're going to be aiming right for this little kind of indentation right here. Look, there's my fuel. It hasn't even started to wiggle. Not bad. Taking a look out this way. Let's see what we have today. Again, absolutely amazing. Just these little places kind of basically in the mountains. There's actually several of these along this kind of the major highway right here. It kind of just follows this whole entire... Oh, there's the canyon of the Crescent Moon we're looking for. Basically follows this entire little curvature here and hits different places along it. And people basically just set up everybody kind of hanging on side of these higher altitudes where obviously the weather's going to be a little bit nicer. But you can just imagine saying, hey, I'm going on a hike today, Mom. Just kind of doing one of these things. As a matter of fact, if you look super carefully, there is a little tiny dried riverbed right there. Excellent. All right, another one of the major cities coming up on the right. Actually, got to come to the left a little bit because I don't want to miss it. Good day. Oh, good day. I'm not going to make any assumptions on your choice of using good day. But if it is day, I can probably guess what time zone you're in. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come swinging right around here. It's going to be right down in here. You'll see in just a minute. Whoop, I'm getting bumped around a little bit. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and plan our descent. Oh, somebody decided to take a CJ. Or is that a longitude? Yep. All right. Kind of swinging up here. Like I said, I could have chosen a slightly faster plane, but I wanted to do something a little bit slower today just to be different. Okay, so Petra is going to be coming right up on our right, and the place we're actually going to be visiting, like I said, is going to be that old city. It's basically going to be located in this very, very tight canyon you're going to see in just a moment. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of swing out this way, and there's a nice little air base that we're going to use as kind of our little destination that we're going to park at. We'll have a pretty good flight today. Keeping an eye on everything real quickly here. The aircraft off my left wing, I believe that's a longitude. It looks a little pointy to be a CJ. Could also be some kind of fighter jet, too, given how fast he's traveling there. Get off my lawn, you're doing a great job. Excellent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and kill the automatic pilot, and we're going to do a little bit of fancy pants flying here. Nose over, go ahead and pop the throttle back a little bit. We're going to try to stay out of the yellow range when we can. Hey, I found what I came looking for here. I'm definitely going to check it out myself. Let's slow down just a tiny bit here. All right, swinging a little bit to the left here. All right, let's see if I can show you where it is. Okay, so if you look very, 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 very carefully, and again, it's one of those things where even I might not be able to point this out. There is this neat little canyon that we're basically flying over right now. Actually, I think it's one to the right. My apologies. There it is, right here. This little teeny tiny one right here. If you take a look here, this is where the location from Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade was actually shot. It's at a place called the Bank, which is that crazy little thing that everybody thinks of when they think of Jordan. It's literally right here. To the left of that, you have the amphitheater, and you have, like I said, one of these incredibly, absurdly old cities located right here. You can actually see where those old temples used to be. And it's an amazing concept to think that people lived here for, 22,000 years so far. It's just like, that's amazing. You think of how all the old Egyptian dynasties, and you think of how long people have been in this tight little valley here. Take a quick little donut of that real fast. I'll give everybody a type. Yeah, you can see it actually pretty good right there. That's exactly where they would be. But unfortunately, like I said, the good people at Microsoft decided not to model that for us. What a bummer. But like I said, we had to at least try to visit Petra. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take one. Are you flying IFR? Right now I'm flying, this is about as VFR as you can possibly get. I'm just flying to fly at this point. I'm going to come swing around this way, and we're going to start making our way over that way. We're going to start, whoop, I told you that thing was going to suddenly ding at me. All right, time to switch fuel tanks. Come on down here. We'll go ahead and pop it over to the other one. And we are good to go. Don't forget to reset your 30-minute timer, though. All right, let's start making our way downwards for our landing. So we got about a 22 nautical mile flight at $1.60. It's going to take us about 8 minutes to get there or so. Not too bad. Like I said, I couldn't imagine visiting Jordan without stopping by some of these places because they're just so amazingly ancient. And I'm not trying to play tour guide here. I'm just excited. I'm sorry. Oh, look at that. My GPS decided to recognize where we're supposed to be finally. Go figure, right? Well, it didn't actually realize where we're supposed to be. It's just giving me, it's hallucinating, but that's all right. Swing me to the right a little bit here. I was wondering when I was going to be able to see where I was supposed to be going. Oh, well. Okay, so we're going to be making our way down here. We're heading for En Yahav, which is, that's going to be Lima Echo Yankee for those of you who are trying to search for it. You know what, might as well have a little throwback here. Let's go ahead and dial that in real fast. We're looking for LLEY for those of you who are like me, who like to do it the regular way. It's going to be KL. It's going to be the next L. Whoa! You will do that 1,000 times, I promise you. We're going to do LL. And we're going to come over here. We're going to do ourselves an E. We'll see how close I really am. E, and we're going to go ahead and say Y. Always go backwards. Enter. Perfect. Navigation mode. Nice. Awesome. So now we're just going to make our way right over to that base, and now we're going to go ahead and land there. This is going to be right over the border. We're not going to be in Jordan where we're actually landing today. But if I wanted to land in Jordan, we'd be about 22 minutes in that direction. So just thought it'd be easier to come down here. All right, going to make ourselves a nice gentle descent. Like I said, it's not a long distance to get to where we're going today. Taking a peek, you got some of these nice cities. But again, notice how it goes from like mountain to flat. Just love that. About 22 knots, not even, a little less than that. I think our ET here is, what did I say, 5 minutes? Nothing. We actually burnt quite a bit of fuel so far. I'm actually really surprised by that. This is 102 nautical miles, by the way, for those of you guys who are keeping score of how far we've actually flown today. All right, I think we are good. There's actually a VOR station. I want to say it's going to be over here somewhere. I wonder if I can actually dial into that while I'm at it. Why not, right? Let's see, we are looking for, we'll put that one on the other one. We'll do 115.60. Why not, right? Boop. Let's do 115. Oop, didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. 115.60. Go ahead and swap. Let's go ahead and take advantage of this beautiful technology we have here. We'll do PFD. We'll do bearing 1. We'll go ahead and set that. Hey, I was right. Yeah, about 12.7 nautical miles away from that particular DMA/VOR. Not too bad. Not too bad. Take a look around. Looking up here. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Just amazing, just absolutely amazing. You can just imagine this whole place was basically underwater, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, it all went away. All these little oases kind of along this way. And in just a moment, you're going to see a sudden airport just kind of appear out of nowhere. It's, in the true Microsoft fashion here. And you got these, every once in a while, you got one of these little tiny roads that you can just imagine kicking up dust that can be seen for miles and miles. I think of the American Southwest, or the Midwest, I should say. And you just get these massive desert roads where people drive 100 miles an hour for like 2 hours and don't see another car. It's just incredible. Now, I'm not going to guess what this is, but they remind me of fortifications. So, again, I'm not making any assumptions, Whoop! Hi there, sir. How's it going? Now we're making our nice slow descent here. Field elevation is going to be... You're going to get a kick out of this. Your field elevation is minus 185 feet. Now, I think this is the first time ever that I've done a traffic pattern altitude that is actually below sea level. And it's just kind of neat when you really think about it that way. Come swinging this way. We got a pretty good little lake down on that side of things. It's another one of those nice highways. Oh, I believe this is our fighter again. I believe I was reading the other news that... what was I reading? Oh, I've got a very interesting video coming out on Monday, by the way, for those of you who do follow those. Yes, note to self, don't do hard technical videos. Nobody watches them. No, I love doing those. That's actually the most fun you can have. All right, looking right off the nose here, our little air base is this little tiny strip of gray right here. It's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. So we're basically going to scoot right onto this. We can go ahead and do a left and a left. We can do a right. The wind for me right now, let's go confirm that real quick. Why not, right? Option 3 is the correct option. Well, that's the most useless wind I could possibly imagine. We have a 2 and a 2-0, so I'm guessing the wind is... yeah, it's facing 2-0-ish, so we're going to get a bit of a crosswind when we land today, but nothing wrong with that. All right, we're going to be crossing the border into another country in just a moment, so I'm going to kind of keep that in the back of my head here. I beat you to it, Ryan, sorry. It's a little weird when you think about it, right? Not bad, not bad. This is a good plane. I like this plane. Go ahead and check behind me. Everybody's getting ready for my landing. We're going to make a big old mess of the ground here. Again, we're crossing international borders, so we got to kind of keep that in the back of our heads. You can see this significant agriculture right here. Nice one of those little towns. I wonder if it's one of those where you can actually see the border. Every once in a while, there'll be like a trench along the border. There'll be like a fence or something. It's like you know you've crossed. But we'll go ahead and check that out a little later on. Probably should have gone with like a desert camo airplane or something like that. That might be the wrong idea, though. I shouldn't say that. All right, just take a look around. Oh boy, look at this. Not sure what the deal with that is, but again, you can just imagine all this beautiful water used to be here, and it's all dried up, and this is what it left behind. That's wild. All right, there is our airport, just like I promised. I think we actually made pretty good time today. So our field elevation, like I said, is minus, again, I might be reading it backwards too, minus 185 feet, and unfortunately that gives us a traffic pattern altitude of 800 feet above sea level, which it just feels wrong. Oh, we got ourselves on a little taxi. Let's go take a look real fast. Who are we flying for today? That looks like air ambulance, maybe? Can't quite make that out. Alrighty then, go ahead and pop off the automatic pilot. I'm going to start the slowing down process. First of all, I'm going to slam the cowl flaps closed because it's about to get cooled off. Given how much work this engine just gave us, you got to kind of be mindful of those things. Continue descending, and like I said, it's about 800 feet. There's 900, and there's 800 feet. So this is your pattern altitude. I don't even want to know. Good point, Gary. You know, somebody was making a comment on the forums one day. They said, does anybody know why there were so many people in New Zealand the other day? And it's like, because New Zealand's cool, obviously. All right, let's go ahead and swing into a nice little left traffic pattern here. Yeah, I'm a little low, but I'm going to bring the nose up. This Bonanza, I did it again. This aircraft just likes to sink once you cut the power. I put that first notch of flaps. I'm going to hold the nose up a little bit. There's something very strange out there, and I don't know what it is. It looks like the Emerald City. All right, I actually can tell you what it is. It's called the Dead Sea. All right, make our way downwards here. I got head to shed. I did it again. Head to the shed. There we go. All right, definitely got a crosswind going on here. Got to peek out the back. We're looking for the magic 45-degree angle. Man, this feels weird. Going below sea level in order to land the plane. It's just weird. Wait till you see what your altimeter reads when we land. It's one of the coolest things. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take myself a fairly poorly coordinated turn here because I'm going way too fast for this turn. Hate it when I do that. Go ahead and take my base leg here. Starting to get a little slow. That's all right, though. Go ahead and take a look on the left. Ooh, that is not the best. You can tell I've never landed here before. All right, looking good. We're going to go ahead and pop the last notch of flaps down. We're going to get our speed as close to 80 knots as we can get it. Again, we have a pretty good crosswind here. It's not like a murder crosswind or anything like that. That is Wednesday's video. All right, I'm actually at the correct altitude for once, so I actually feel pretty good. All right, about 80 knots is the sweet spot, and that's looking pretty decent here. I'm going to go ahead and reset my RPM, reset my mixture, do my Gulfs checks. Flaps are down. I got my green lights. I'm happy. All right, let's put this thing down on the ground. There's my good old-fashioned runway 20 right there. A little bit of crosswind. I'm going to go ahead and dip my wing down and use the rudder to kind of keep me straight. Doing pretty good there. And we got a bit of a crab, but that's all right. Smoothly reduce the throttle. We're going to hold about a couple inches off the ground. This aircraft's lower than it looks. Nose up, and we are down. Oh, Lightfall. Ooh, hello, crosswind. Nice to meet you, too. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the flaps there. And I'm going to go ahead and flap up. Shut up my landing lights. Again, I don't want to blind anybody. Not that this sun won't do it for you. And I can imagine right now that people are pretty shocked by just how many airplanes are about to show up. Ooh, that doesn't look healthy for that plane. I think you forgot something critical there. All right, let's go ahead and park ourselves over here. We did it. What a flight. That was excellent. I had fun with that one. All right, folks, as usual, when we get to the end of one of these flights, I always like to do some Q&A. So if anybody has any questions as far as what, it could be aviation related, if you have any questions, again, don't ask me anything about this country. I've kind of told you everything I know. And again, I'm not an expert. I probably embarrassed myself at least 50 times. But as usual, we always like to take our little victory picture at the end here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. Stop it. People who've done this before already know to get all behind me, but you'll see what I mean. They always do it. You always got to take a couple pictures here in case for some reason, one of these didn't work. Weren't that a bit fast? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Rissless. If you're referring to my approach speed, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't think I was going too fast there, but again, I could be a little off. I'll give everybody a few moments to kind of get kind of caught up here. So as usual, as everybody's getting ready for our little kind of group picture here, does anybody have any questions on anything? Again, feel free to ask anything aviation related. And again, it doesn't even have to be the simulator. I can try to answer. If I don't know, I usually have a general idea of kind of where to send folks as far as where to find that information out. Also, are there any videos that folks would like to see? We're going to be finishing up our advanced navigation series very, very soon, probably within the next week and a half or so. So we'll have to find some new things to go ahead and do afterwards. So as usual, if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to throw them into our chat. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them into our chat. I know there's a 30-second delay, so I'll kind of give you guys plenty of time to go ahead and consider that before I stick it. Let's see here. DJ10, do I own a personal plane? I'm not sure. I mean, you certainly can own a personal plane. They're very expensive. I mean, this aircraft retails for probably in the 600 to 700,000 US range. So if you want to own a personal plane, you just got to have the money for it. You can, of course, always buy like one of those little kit planes or something like that. Those can be as cheap as 10,000 US new, but I don't know if you can even fly those at most major airports because they're considered to be experimental. So kind of keep that in mind. Go ahead and take the picture about 6 more times here. All right, now, does anybody have any other questions? All right, I've got my picture here. This is so amazing. Whoops, he just had to get in the picture at the last second there. Picture taken. Crashing to desktop. I did not have any crashing issues. The only thing I've noticed is the performance changes. Like sometimes it's absolutely greatest performance ever. Other days it's absolutely garbage. I have a pretty powerful computer, so it kind of surprises me when I do see performance issues. Obviously, out here in the middle of the desert, you're not going to have too many issues. All right, just kind of keeping an eye out. Again, any videos you'd like to see, or anybody looking for specific, questions as well. Other than that, I'm going to slowly start migrating back to my little encore here. Now we're going to go ahead and create a little bit of an international incident, and I know just the way to create the international incident. Give myself a little bit of power, and we're going to go ahead and turn ourselves around. Again, feel free to ask any questions or make any suggestions for future videos on the channel while I'm kind of getting myself all set up here. This is going to be messy, but that's okay. Oh, gotcha. So Bearmat was the one who was doing amazing formation flying, which, by the way, I'm absolutely garbage at. I can land on a carrier practically blindfolded with a missing engine, no problem. But when it comes to things like flying in a formation or trying to do in-flight refueling, I'm just garbage. DJ Ken, you're welcome. Sorry, I really shouldn't play tour guide. It should be concentrating on the flying, but it's such a cool country. All right, let's go ahead and create an international incident here. Mountains in the Ivory Coast. Oh, that's interesting. I usually don't think about that. What I was thinking of doing is, again, I feel like I haven't done a lot of like India or China or anything like that. There's also just Africa in general that needs to be explored considerably, as well as even Europe. I haven't done too much in Europe as well. Come swing around this way. Yeah. I believe it. All right, so how do we create an international incident with my little aircraft here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set down right on the border and kind of see what happens. So Bearmat, it didn't render as a Corsair because I don't own the Corsair. If I did own the Corsair, then I'd be able to see it as your model. All right, so the border should be right below us. I feel like it should be fairly obvious. I'm not going to lie, it's kind of hard to see. I think that's the border there. At least I'm hoping that's what the border is. All right, let's go ahead and create an international incident. Puget Store. That's an interesting idea. Because we're coming up on our 20th, which is going to be our next one. So we have to do something special. I just haven't decided yet. You might be the one to do something crazy, like, do like all airliners into Atlanta or something like that. Something like a little bit longer and a little bit crazier. Are you a real pilot? Way back in the day, I did quite a bit of flying on my own, as far as student pilot and doing all that good stuff. But I do not fly anymore. It is way too expensive. Way too expensive. That's why I like my virtual flying. Unfortunately, my virtual flying can't pay for my real flying. All right, let's see if there's a nice spot. I'm pretty sure I thought the border was more obvious, and it's in here somewhere. But anyway, let's go ahead and create an international incident here. I'm going to pull my nose up real quickly. Nice and steep. And then we're going to do my favorite maneuver. It looks like it wants to do the right wing today, so we'll go ahead and do the right wing. There it is. All right, international incident. Here I come. I feel like there's always lakes that I come crashing into. This feels wrong, crashing into the international border. Whee! All right, folks, have a lovely night and have a lovely day for those of you who are 14 hours ahead. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Like I said, this is just kind of a neat little area to fly around in, and it's definitely worth checking out, like, especially if we ever get a helicopter. Dress X, the CT resident, you're not wrong, in case you couldn't tell from my other videos. Other than that, have an absolutely wonderful night. I'll hang out in the chat for a couple minutes. Otherwise, keep flying and enjoy. Later.